The Ducks awoke from their Seattle slumber with a third-quarter onslaught. The defense rose to the occasion yet again, and Kenyon burned the Cougars big time. In Tucson, Sean was the man yet again. He lit up the Arizona sky with a virtuoso performance and saved Hamlet for the final act. The Huskies now head for Autzen and are riding high after knocking off Stanford, but a former Duck got Husky Week started off on the right foot. It was a Rocky Mountain high for the Bruins in Boulder as they return to their early season form against the Buffs. In Berkeley, it's not a party for the Bears, but it definitely feels like 2001, and that's not a good thing for Jeff Tedford. The first month of the season is in the books, and things are just starting to get interesting. Bring on October. Inside the Pac starts right now.
Across the way, here's the snap. Holiday back, goes to the right side, intercepted, picked off. This is going to be a touchdown for Oregon. Oregon Ducks going to pick off on a pass out into the right flat that time.
Avery Patterson and the Oregon defense comes up big again, and the Ducks are now 5-0 in a Wild West shootout in Tucson that the Beavers live to tell about. And what a story Sean Mannion is turning out to be. Hello and welcome to this edition of Inside the Pac. I'm Tom Ward. He is Nick Krupke, and back for more, former Oregon receiver Cristin McLemore. Good to see you again, C-Mac.
Always a pleasure, Tom.
Well,
Always.
Offensive coordinator Mark Helfrich told me on Saturday night that this offense, as we see, is still a work in progress, and I think that was fairly evident at times against the Cougars.
You know, one of the things I see with this offense is that second half crescendo that they always talk about. We need to put that in the first half makings, make things happen there. We've got to get it going early.
18-play drive in this game, one of their longest of the season, no doubt. But it was the patience on offense. But when the offense couldn't get it done early, the defense came up with some huge plays.
Well, yeah, one of the things I look at is Washington State played with a lot of motivation. You've got number 2 in up in your area, neck of the woods. That defense of ours was very strong. Obviously, again, getting that offense. We've got a young offense, making things happen, but we'll get it going. Well,
there's certainly plenty of Cougar fans ready to cheer. The place got loud a few times there in Seattle. Nick, when you look at Oregon State, the Beavers go into Arizona. They put up 613 total yards. They run for 180. It's like, who are these guys?
Yeah, the problem is now, I guess, how fat are they going to get with these post-meal celebrations in and out?
Going to in and out again.
2 weeks in a row, but I guess a little more conditioning on Monday, you'll be all right. But again, remember, they took those lumps last year playing all those young guys, 23 first-time starters, again, the 10 true freshmen, program record. It is beginning to pay off now. First time they've had back-to-back wins in conference since 2007. And the big playmakers, again, Marcus Wheaton, Brandon Cook's been looking for a big-time playmaking guy the last couple of years. 2 weeks in a row, both of those guys received more than 100 yards in the game. And when you needed a big play, Jordan Poyer certainly showing why he will too one day be in the NFL, making that big pick when all the momentum was for Arizona. He turns it around to stay with that pick on the sidelines, and off they went and back and forth, and the Beavers stood tall at the end.
Yeah, and on both sides, clutch. You mentioned Cooks and Wheaton. I mean, right now, is there a better tandem of receivers
I don't think so.
in the Pac-12? Also, they win the turnover battle yet again, come up with the 2 big picks. Of course, the one that sealed the game in Oregon State now. I mean, when you're down in and-out territory, you don't get that in the Northwest, so you got to go. And now they got the good mojo going, so I guess they got to keep it going. But let's get things moving here. It was a strange week at the Clink, CenturyLink Field in Seattle. The Seahawks shocked the Packers with the inaccurate reception on Monday Night Football. Then Thursday, UW upset 8th-ranked Stanford with the Emerald City Oddities coming threes. The second-ranked Ducks with their first road game, almost a neutral site with a good amount of the 60,000 fans wearing green and yellow up against an overmatched Cougar club that blew a 3-score fourth-quarter lead against lowly Colorado a week earlier. After Wazoo went 3-and-out on the opening drive, Ducks needed just 4 plays to score. Kenyon Barner, the 22-yard burst, his 7th of the season. 2-point conversion was no good, so it's 6-0. After the Cougs picked up the field goal, we finally saw Marcus Mariota dazzle us with his legs. Eludes a sack as he spins out of the pocket, kicks it outside, and then heads towards the end zone. His first rushing score of his career, 13 yards, 13-6 Oregon. Following a shanked punt by the Cougs, it's just one play. Looks like Barner was in a Friday walkthrough. Nice little toss and catch. No one around him. Mariota found him for 30 yards. And just like that, it's 20-6. Coug fans at the Clink going, what's going on? After trading field goals, it's now 23-12 before Connor Halliday hooked up with Brett Bartolone. A 26-yard touchdown. It's 23-19 at the half. The Ducks knew they had to get it going. So in the third quarter, after being held scoreless against Arizona, Dat gets his 4-yard rush, a season-long 18-play drive, ate up more than 6 minutes. Then Halliday helped get the Cougars back in it, trying to anyway. Recall Avery Patterson replacing the injured John Boyette in the starting lineup. How about a 34-yard pick six, 37-19 Oregon. And if that didn't ice it, then this did. After Barner ran for a 10-yard score, he goes in for the 10-yard score. Oregon putting this away. The Coug fans heading for the exit. And then Barner with the literal capper in the fourth. He goes off the right side, breaks a tackle, and he is off on an 80-yard run. He finally busts one. He said later he thought the end zone was running away from him because he was cramping up. Make it a 4-TD night, and Oregon win on the road. Ducks roll to 5-0. 51-26 the final in his first road start. Mariota, 21 of 32, 2 total touchdowns and 2 picks. Barner, though, wound up 195 yards rushing, his second high of the season. Recall, he had 201 against Fresno.
Yeah, Oregon an even 300 yards rushing to the Cougs' net of -8. That was aided by Oregon's 7 sacks. And like it or not, another 7:30 kickoff is coming. Not what Doug fans necessarily wanted to have, but more fuel to fire. It is Husky Week. Dogs at Autzen Saturday night.
Well, Cristin, after this one, there was a lot of critiquing going on both sides of the football. The offense needs to be more consistent, obviously, and the defense a little inconsistent, but coming up big when the offense needed them most there right before the half.
Right. Well, you'd like to always be able to go in halftime with a good momentum, good play like that. We got to get this thing under wraps, though, because coming into the meat and potatoes of the Pac-12, it's going to be important that we play 4 quarters of good football.
Yeah, I mentioned just before the end of the half, late second quarter, Wazoo threatening down 4. We spot Deion Jordan with the arrow there, but this is really a sack by committee.
Well, looking at this right here, see everybody's coming hard. You've got both ends crashing. I mean, anybody could have came up with that sack.
Kind of a jailbreak there. And then next up, Michael Clay. You see him in the defensive backfield. He's looking like he's playing cover.
Well, it looks, he's flat-footed right there, and all of a sudden you see him flashing the screen. I think the quarterback had his eyes locked downfield, didn't see that coming.
He certainly didn't see Clay coming. He was ruled down right there as you see the official. Then finally, Big Wade in the middle just kind of stays home and then lets Halliday come to him.
Hey, well, as they would say, he's playing in his position. He's doing what he's doing. He's not stopping. He's finishing through the play.
The total loss on those 3 plays, 28 yards. Oregon backed the Cougs up from their 27 all the way back to the 48-yard line, I should say, and really set the tone for the third quarter, flipped the momentum around heading into that locker room.
Well, that's the kind of defensive stance right there. You want to take it, cut, copy, and paste. Let's run that back for 4 quarters, and I guarantee you there's not anybody in the Pac-12 that can play with them.
Well, and of course, all the offensive guys after this one, I know you know that feels good. Those guys saying, hey, we know that if we sputter a little bit, the defense is going to come to pick us up. Well,
yeah, that's a rewarding feeling. You know, you got that defense back there. But what I like to see these guys do is come out, explode on both sides of the ball, 4 quarters, show them what they're capable of doing. Because I think right now with the Pac-12 the way it is, you're going to have to do that to outlast this league.
Well, certainly the Ducks still with some wrinkles to be worked out as we continue on with conference play. But coming off back-to-back wins over ranked opponents for the first time since the end of the Fiesta Bowl season in 2000, the Beavers were back on the road in Tucson to prove again that they are for real. Mike Riley needing one more win to become the program's all-time leader in wins, passing Lon Steiner. It had been 10 years since the Beavs started 3-0. Matt Scott in Arizona going with the Copper helmets. But it was the Beavers that were energized early on 1st and 25. Sean Mannion to Brandon Cooks, who had a career game last week at UCLA. Chalk up a 57-yard gain for Cooks all the way down to the Arizona 20. 149 yards receiving on the night for Cooks. Trevor Romaine then missed the field goal, but a running into the kicker penalty extended the drive, and that led to this. Marcus Wheaton with his 2nd score in as many weeks. Double that of his touchdown output a season ago, 2-yard touch, 7-zip Beavers after 1. We go to the second quarter and another big play, 51 yards to guess who? Wheaton, who always plays well in front of his friends and family from just up the road in Chandler. That sets up another Romaine field goal. So it's 10-0 OSU. Another big play for the Beaver offense. Storm Woods with a dynamite first half, 86 yards rushing. This went for 21 yards. Skip ahead 3 plays later, Tyler Anderson gets into the end zone from a yard out, 17-0 Oregon State. And after being shut out last week at Autzen, that wasn't going to happen to Arizona again. Kadeem Carey gets the carry, plugs in from 1 yard out. The Beavers had 374 total yards, but only led 17-7 at the half. They rule it a touchdown. We go to the third quarter. It's 17-14, and here comes Carey again, the copper topper stopper. 24-yard burst for the running back. The Cats scratch back into the lead at 21-17. Zona with all the momentum with 21 unanswered, but needing a big play. Jordan Poyer makes a big play. Pass breakup and then excellent concentration to intercept it. The first turnover of the game. The kid from Astoria comes up with it. That helps shift the energy back to the Beavers. Storm brewing into the paint. OSU back up 24-21, 161 yards rushing on the night for Woods. The teeter-totter then leaned back to the Wildcats. Scott to Dan Buckner, 16-yard score. It's 28-24 Arizona at the end of 3 quarters. Less than 4 minutes left in the fourth. Mannion, play action to Wheaton, and the senior hauls in the 20-yarder. Beavers go up 31-28, 166 yards hauled in by Wheaton. There would be more, though. Scott to Austin Hill, the second time they connect for a score. It's now 35-31, Zona back on top, and then came the drive. The Beavers, who were horrendous on third down a year ago, so good thus far. 3rd and 3, a 28-yard pickup to Wheaton. When it was all said and done, it was a 75-yard march in 10 plays, capped off by a Mannion to Connor Hamlet connection, and the Beavs back in command, 38-35, 433 yards passing for Mannion, who looks like a wily vet now in year number 2. Just over a minute left for Arizona. Scott has this one read by Rashad Reynolds, who had a big game. Done deal. The interception seals it, and Mike Riley collects his 75th win all time at Oregon State, putting him into the lead, passing Lon Steiner. 38-35 Oregon State, the program's 6th straight win in Tucson, makes them 3-0 for the first time since '02.
Players of the game all around. Mannion dominant again, 433. That's a career best in those 3 scores. Wheaton, big play after big play, 166 yards on 10 receptions. Cook had 9 catches for 149. Woods, 161 yards on 29 carries. Now the Cougars come to Reeser Saturday at 3 o'clock. The Beaver defense has still yet to give up a point in the first quarter, but is a little bit exposed in that second half, yielding 327 yards and those 28 points. But Oregon State's offense was up to the challenge. The Beavers finally had that running game. They got it back after missing it so much during last year's disappointing 3-9 run last season, as Oregon State racked up 180 yards on the ground, 161 from Woods, and that pretty much equals a Beaver victory, as they have now won 25 of the last 29 games, and a rusher collects 100 yards. That play action has been and was effective again because they were balanced. 43 running plays to 45 passing. And it really showed up in the red zone again, where Oregon State was 6 of 7, including 5 touchdowns. Always so nice and so vital when you get points deep down there in your own territory. 6 is better than 3. No offense there to Trevor Romaine. Really got to love what Storm Woods is doing. The way redshirted last year, kind of got to sit down and watch what happens. He's been so good last couple of weeks. Manning the Beavers, 4th in the nation in their passing offense. 10 of 11 now on the season in the red zone, 7 touchdowns. That's 18th best in the country. And that defense, kind of got worked over a little bit in the second half, but again, on third down defense, they're allowing the conversions just 20% of the time for Oregon State's D. So all things considered, looking very well so far, 3 games in for the Beavs.
Yeah, you mentioned they're 7 of 16. They gave up 4 of 10 to Arizona, but we touched on this last week. Signs that their offense is really in control. 36 and over a half minutes, over 36 and a half minutes of time of possession in this game.
And no mistakes by
Ground
Manning,
and
no
pound
picks
football.
again.
And they, like I said earlier, they win the turnover battle.
Yeah.
Well, despite the 51 points, Oregon's 469 yards of total offense are the lowest of the season, falling shy of the 495 the week prior against Arizona. Are the Ducks trending downward on offense? Still to come on Inside the Pac. Back to Seattle for more with Kenyon Barner and company, as the key word on Saturday night was finish.
There was drives in the first half that we just didn't finish. We had plenty of opportunities to score, whether it was missed assignments, whether miscommunication, whatever it was, we just didn't finish, and that's what we had to get back to doing, finishing.
Plus, the Bruins bounce back from their loss to the Beavers with a Rocky Mountain High. That's coming up. And as always, lots more Beavers, Ducks, and the rest of the Pac-12 online all the time at our website, InsideThePac.com. We're back after this. Just when it looked like the Washington State Cougars were going to head into the locker room with the momentum, things turned in favor of Oregon. Once again, it was the Ducks defense which provided a much-needed spark. For more from Seattle, here's Dirk Weishar.
Just as the Cougars were threatening to take the lead at the end of the first half, the Oregon defense stepped up big time, sacking Connor Halliday 3 straight plays for a loss of 28 yards, preventing Washington State from scoring and giving the momentum to Oregon heading into halftime. The Ducks then rode that momentum into the second half, scoring 28 unanswered points for a 51-26 victory, the Ducks' first away from Autzen this season.
You know, they were huge. It's kind of the same mindset with the offense. You know, you got to grind it out, you got to get the job done. We know teams are going to have big plays. You don't want them, but it's football.
I mean, we want to do everything we can to help our offense, help our team morale get going, and a sack is a huge play for us on defense.
We really look forward to the challenge come into the game because we knew they were going to throw the ball 60 times. So, I mean, it was really a bunch of opportunities for us to make plays, and we took advantage of them.
The Ducks had 469 total offensive yards, their lowest output of the season. Kenyon Barner had 232 of those yards, including an 80-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. When asked about his good buddy LaMichael James' recent tweet concerning this week's opponent, the Huskies, Barner said, LaMichael is no longer here. He can say whatever he wants to say. He's a fan. Beyond that, I have no comment. Reporting from CenturyLink Field, I'm Dirk Weishar for Inside the Pac.
And this, the aforementioned LaMichael James tweet after the Huskies' big win over Stanford. The former Duck tweeted out, "Be happy, UW, when you head to Eugene. Reality will kick in and you will go home with that tail curled like a good puppy." We'll see what the Dogs have to say about that later this week. The Beavers find themselves ranked number 14 in the country and are joined by only Oregon as an undefeated team in the Pac-12. Still to come on Inside the Pac. We'll go back to Tucson, where the Beavs sealed up yet another cheeseburger celebration after the interception by Rashad Reynolds.
Oh, it felt amazing. It felt amazing because I gave one up earlier, so I told the team I owed them one, and I was able to get it.
OSU is 3-0 for the first time since starting 4-0 back in 2002, and once again it was sophomore quarterback Sean Mannion leading the way. Here's Phil Milani with more.
It was the defining moment in this game, and it was probably the defining moment in Sean Mannion's young career. On the Beavers' final drive, he led the team 75 yards on 10 plays, on which the Beavers converted on third down twice, including the final play, a 9-yard touchdown pass to Connor Hamlet.
I mean, we felt like we'd been moving the ball well all night. It was just we had to put it together. We had some good drives early, and we got off to a rough start in the second half, but we all said to ourselves, we know we can do this, and we should go out there and execute.
My first time experiencing this, but I can tell you that I knew we were going to score. Sean had a look in his eyes I've never seen, and he was yelling, and he was just so into it. So kudos to Sean.
I was ready for it. I'm always going to be ready no matter what play it is. So when it came my way, I just thought I had to make a play, and I did.
I just thought it was a great job of being resilient and playing hard and playing with character, not quitting. It looked pretty bad for a while in there, but the guys just kept making plays.
It was also a monumental night for head coach Mike Riley as he passes Lon Steiner and becomes the all-time winningest head football coach in Oregon State history. With the Beavers in Tucson, I'm Phil Milani for Inside the Pac.
Phil, thanks. We're just about to wrap up the show. We'll be back with more Inside the Pac. It is Husky Week, and Cristin, Washington is improved, but certainly one wouldn't think they're improved enough to come into Autzen and get a win.
Well, I think with 8 losses in a row, you've got a Steve Sarkisian, Justin Wilcox team that's going to be, they're going to fight. But, like I said, if they don't have a Kenny Wheaton on their side, no chance for them.
Well, Justin Wilcox making his return to Autzen, certainly a storyline, but the Cougs coming to Reeser.
It's been about a month since the Beavers have been home for the fans trying to welcome this team 3-0.
All right, Ducks host the Huskies at 7:30, Beavs and Cougs at 3. We'll see you.